Check it out, friends. Today I'm giving you a first-hand look at the all-new Stiletto Carpenter Squares. So we have two 7-inch Carpenter Squares and a 4.5-inch trim square right here. So these are right now available for pre-order, and then if you watch this video all the way through, you'll find out all the details of these so you can see if it's right for you. Let's go. Okay, so my question after you watch this video, which one of these three would you go with? So the first one right here, this one has the bubble level in it. This one right here is pretty much exactly the same, other than it does not have that bubble level. Maybe you don't want it. And then the third one right here, this is the handy little size Carpenter Square. So in this review, what I'm gonna do to simplify things, I'm gonna just take this one out so you know you have the option to get it without the level or not. All right, so I've been using these for a little over a week, and I was just thinking back to my first impressions when I opened these up and looked at them. I'm just really impressed with the markings on here, how easy they are to read. I believe they're laser engraved. Everything is just precision made, very high quality. And the bigger one right here, this is the 7-inch Carpenter Square. This one, I'd say, is more robust than the typical ones that you're gonna buy. This one is actually a little bit heavier. I did get a weight on all these, which we'll get to in a little bit, and you can see some comparisons between this and some other brands, and also the plastic ones. So this right here is a tool that just lives on my tool belt right here. Just always having this right here is very important to me. This is a really handy tool. So I'd say this is, if I was gonna buy only one, I'd probably have this one first. And then this one right here is really handy as well too. I think this is something you're not gonna find other ones like this. It just has all these features on here. So either that one can live there, or depending on what I'm doing, that one can live there as well too. So one of the things I noticed when I opened it up, looked at the package, it has the bomber cut out. So I was kind of wondering what that was. And I looked at the shape of it. As you can see, that shape right there kind of looks like a stealth bomber. What do you think? So this tool right here is actually referred to by several different names. I think there's a trademark on the name Speed Square by Swanson that's been around for years and years and years. So a lot of people will call these Speed Squares, but also a rafter square, a triangle square, and a carpenter square. So for carpentry work, this is what I use it for the most. And in this video, I'm not gonna go over all the features on there. There's some other videos that you can find that tell you how to use a framing square, and especially like when you're doing some roofing, things like that. But I'll show you the most common work I do building stud walls, like when I'm finishing off a basement. So I have several marking instruments. So the carpenter's pencil is quite popular. So in my tool belt right here, I have this Pica Dry pencil that's nice and precise, and the Pica ink right here. All right, so we have this right here marked at 48. Put the X right there, that's where the stud's gonna go. All right, so if I wanna mark this, there, nice and straight. And then if you can see right here, there's 1.5 inches. So if you mark that line right there, that's gonna give you the width of your stud. So check this out. So the nice thing with this is actually over 7, it's closer to 7.5. So it gives you just that extra little bit of length right there to get past when you have two 2x4s next to each other. Then if you're doing something where you're gonna have a 2x6 like this, right there is the 5.5-inch size. So one of the things I like using this for is some cross cuts with my circular saw. So right there's my mark, and we're gonna use this as an edge guide. All right, I have the Milwaukee saw. This is the new Forge battery. So I'm gonna be showing this a little bit more on my channel here pretty soon. Here we go. Oh yeah, beautiful. Nice and straight. You don't even see the pencil mark there. All right, let's take a look down here. I'll show you some of the markings on here. So these little grooves right here, it's gonna be a 1/8 inch gap. So the diamond right there, those are the popular distances. So let's say you wanna mark right here, this is 3/4. You can put your pencil or whatever right there. So you just draw a nice straight line. So here's 1.5 inches. Here's 3.5. That's the common width of a 2x4. And then you can see the 5.5. So that's the exact width of this 2x6 right here. All right, as you can see, if I bring this right up to the line, so right here, these are some common numbers, 1.5 inches. Here's 3 inches. So let's say we're gonna measure out a 6/12 pitch roof. So right there is a 6, and then that line right there are the common cuts. So right here, we have a 6/12 pitch. All right, so as you can see, this roof right here, this is a 6/12 pitch roof. We ran a little bit low on daylight, so now we're moving things inside, and I have a couple more things I want to say about the 7-inch Carpenter Square. So let's take a closer look. So if you look over this framing square, you'll just see all types of different numbers on here. A lot of things to reference real quick to make the job go faster. And most of these items right here are going to pertain to regular common dimensional lumber. But when it comes to LVL, there's also a couple on here where they have you covered. So 3.5 and 1.75 inches. Those are 2 common sizes. Then on the bottom right here, we have some common things, some numbers to measure. So this one right here that has the bubble level, you can also see it on the bottom right there, both sides. So that really comes in handy. Let's say you're laying out some stair treads. This is just something you can just quick grab and see if it's level or not. So I don't believe there's a feature that they've left off this. If there's something that you see, let me know. All right, so now we're going to focus on the 4.5-inch trim square. So the carpenter's pencil comes in handy for a lot of these projects, but these scribe holes right here, it's really not going to work too well. So that's why I mentioned this item right here, this Pica dry pencil. So you can just see this has a really sharp pencil tip. It's very easy to sharpen as well too. So on the end right here, let's say it's really dull, you just twist that, and that is the built-in sharpener. All right, so when it comes to doing some scribing, you can just see these holes are a little smaller, so this will fit in there fairly well. And this is a little bit different than the Bomber Guide. This has some angles. So these are some of your most popular angles right here. So you have 22.5, 30, 45, and right there is 67.5. All right, so let me show you how you can get some quick measurements off this on here. So right here, that's a 1/2 inch. Right there is 3/4. Right here is 1.5 inches. Right there is 1 3/4. And then once again, we have these little diamonds on some of the most popular measurements, the most common ones you're going to be using. So that's a nice quick reference. So I did mention that there's some things on here that you probably won't find on another trim square. At least I haven't seen it yet. You'll have to let me know if you have. So let's move the camera up here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have an upcoming project where I'm going to replace this garage door right here. And on the inside right here, I want to put some casing around it. So if I want to have that casing nice and neat around there, that's where this comes in handy. So if you take a look right here, you'll see it says 1/4 inch. So that is a cutout. You can see that. And on this side right here, it's 3/16 right there. So this is a smaller cutout. So it depends how close you want the trim to the edge. So let's just say I want to use the 1/4 inch. So I can take that, put it right up against the trim right there, and then make my mark. All right, so which one would you go with typically? 3/16 right here. See what that looks like. See that gap? So a lot of times I'm just eyeballing it, but I think if I want to keep it nice and precise, I'd like that little tighter fit right there to the edge. So I'll probably go with the 3/16, but I'd like to know what you think. All right, then we have a couple more things to point out. So on the heel right here, we have some different offsets. So here's the offset 1/4 inch. I have to move it back here. So you can see right here, that X, that distance, that's 1/4 inch. And then this side right here, this is 3/8 of an inch. That distance right there. And then on the bottom here, we also have this measurement right here. So this would really work well on a table saw to get your blade height correct and several other things too. All right, so the last thing I want to do for you is get the weight, because as I mentioned, these are a little bit heavier than some of the other ones. That's one of the things that I noticed. Here's one of my previous trim squares I've been using. This is by Milwaukee, 4.5 inch, just like that one. And the weight of this, 3.7 ounces. And the Stiletto is gonna be a little heavier, 4.1. So there's a little bit of difference, not too much, but you can just see where some of that weight comes from, just the thickness of this right there. All right, so now let's take a look at the 7-inch Carpenter Squares. I've had this Empire one for a while now. Let's get a weight on that. 7.1 ounces. And the Stiletto, I believe the one with the bubble level might be a little lighter, 12.2. And then the other one right here, 12.8. So yes, there's definitely a noticeable difference. So that's where the extra weight comes in. And it's definitely a little bit thicker too. So I think if you're using this as a saw guide, you just have a little bit more to go against. 3.7. So that is, it feels like air almost, like a feather. So there's definitely just a lot more features on here. I just would call this the workhorse. It just has all those things on there to help speed it through, where this right here is going to be handy, but just not so easy to read and not all the features. So I'm not sure if I say this too much, but in my videos, I really enjoy hearing your comments and any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, friends. Have a great day. Hey, guess what? I forgot to mention that I have another video right there for you that you can check out if you want to see some other stiletto tools like this right here, this Tie-Bone Mini 14 titanium hammer. This thing's awesome. And if you want to see some other tool reviews, I have the subscribe button right there, so that way you don't miss out, because I've got a lot more videos coming up soon.